Could it be that baseball still means more than money? That even millions of dollars don't compare to the love of the sport and playing with your friends in the place you call home? Well, for Merrill Kelly, that just may be the case.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to the Locked On Podcast. What? What's up and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I'm your host, Daynen Biggs. I would normally restart the recording and edit that out, but my wife is sitting right next to me and she's playing Minecraft. And if I do that, she will make fun of me to no end. So that we're just living with that one. We're live. We're going. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And you guys, today is a it's a very interesting day because we just talked about who could be our big signing for this offseason, which would be Pete Fairbanks. Now, I say big signing. It's kind of we kind of been spoiled a little bit with the Corbin Burnes signing, and we're looking at players that get 20 plus $30 million a year. That's a big signing, but for us right now where we're at, a big signing is more like 8 to 12 million a year, right? But that's still a big news. And so it was looking like, and it still kind of is, that Pete Fairbanks is going to be kind of our guy, our closer for the season, which we desperately need. But we also desperately need starting pitching. And it would appear that Merrill Kelly, who has been a Diamondback for, I think it was played in 6 seasons here in Arizona, and was traded at the end of this last season at the trade deadline to the Texas Rangers for quite the haul of prospects, pitching prospects in return. So honestly, a good trade, I think, on the part of Mike Hazen and the front office. But before he left, he was kind of very clear, like that he was aware, like, no, this is, this would make sense if I get traded. It's good business, and it would make sense that I'll be a free agent right after this. And even if I do leave, who knows? Maybe I'll come right back, and like that's what he was saying. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to compare Merrill Kelly and Pete Fairbanks to determine which one would actually be a better call. Like, it would be super awesome to have Merrill Kelly back, but would he actually be worth it when we could get Pete Fairbanks? Because I doubt we'd be signing both of them unless we're signing Merrill Kelly for pennies on the dollar. And then finally, we're going to hear from you. And you guys have some amazing comments and feedback. If you are watching this and you are a Blue Jays fan, which, by the way, my personal best episode yet. And I'm so happy that it wasn't an episode talking about the Dodgers. That's a relief. I love the Blue Jays so much more than the Dodgers. So obviously, so that was nice. But I believe it was Tuesday's episode or Wednesday's. I don't remember. And it was talking about how the Blue Jays, are poised to be the next big bad of the MLB. And a lot of Blue Jays fans tuned in and shared their thoughts and were very nice. I mean, like, whenever I talk about the Dodger fans come on, most of them are nice, but there's a big chunk of them that I'm like, yeah, okay, see, this is what I'm talking about when I say Dodger fans are annoying sometimes. It's those people show up. But the Toronto fans, very exceptional. And some of them were even like, here's why we're spending so much. And it was actually very informative. So thank you. And if you're watching this still after that horrible and embarrassing this little intro, then I thank you. So anyway, so we'll be going through all that at the end of the episode as well. So Merrill Kelly returning to Arizona. Well, according to Arizona or Diamondbacks insider John Gambo, he said on X on December 4th, 2 p.m. He said, I would still peg the return of Zach Gallen to the Diamondbacks as unlikely, which I would agree. But hearing there is but hearing there's definitely mutual interest from both sides on a return for Merrill Kelly, which is not very common to see, that where a player says, "Ooh, I would love to be signed by this team," and the team saying, "Yeah, we would love to sign you." Like that, there's there's like no negotiation there. It's just maybe it's great negotiation. I don't know, but it's clearly a team who likes Merrill Kelly and a player who likes the team. That is, I think that's cool. Merrill Kelly's a native to Arizona. He went to school in Scottsdale. He went to ASU. He is right. Yeah, he went to ASU. I had to double check that. And yeah, he's bred here and loves it here and wants to stay here. His he talks a bit about that as well. He was again, before the trade deadline happened, everybody was like, "Hey, you're probably going to get traded, right? Like, what do you think?" And it was very likely that he and or Zach Gallen were going to get traded. It was and Suarez and Naylor and none of that was a surprise. And so when asked about it, he said, "I wouldn't harbor any type of hard feelings if I got traded. I still want to be in Arizona. If I don't get traded, I'm definitely not going to be mad about it. But if I do, yeah, there's always a possibility that I would come back here. The front office knows how fond I am of being here and being home. I know my wife is fond of being here and being home. Regardless of what happens after the 31st, being here is never off the table." So that was before he got traded away. Obviously, loyalty to the team to the very end kind of thing. So maybe that's all that was. But since then, he still lives here. He and his wife, they still live in Arizona. They haven't moved, which would be weird to move to Texas for only like 2 or 3 months, knowing that you're probably going to have to move again. So, so they stayed here and they're still here until they get, I imagine, until they get signed by whatever team signs them if it's not Arizona. And he's been spotted at Phoenix Suns games. Like, so he's here. He's living in Arizona like any other Arizona person. So it makes sense that he would want to play here more than anywhere else. But then there's the question of what is he going to cost? And his value has been going up. It's been inflating over the last month. And according to AZ Central's Nick Piecro, guys, names, pronunciations, I don't want don't comment. Well, actually do comment because it's good for the algorithm. I'll suck it up. It's fine. You can comment. But anyway, it suggests that he'll be seeking a deal in the $35 to $46 million range, which I imagine that's gotta be for that's gotta be for 3 years, 3 to maybe 4 years. He is 37 years old, so he's pretty old. He's an old man. This will be his 37-year season. But of course, pitchers are known to pitch well into their 40s sometimes. And Merrill Kelly, honestly, he hasn't slowed down. He's doing pretty well. So I think if anybody's going to pitch for a long time, I think it would be him. But we will just kind of have to see where that goes. It's been estimated also that, according to SpotTrack.com, that he's worth, I believe it was $12 million a year. So that's a bit out of our comfort zone, a bit outside of what we would want to pay, but it's not unquestionable. And I think if the Diamondbacks approach Merrill Kelly and they say, "Hey, here is the most we can spend on you. Like, we want you back. We love having you. We think you'd be great on the team, but it would be irresponsible for us to offer more than this when we need so many other pieces to the puzzle." And I could see that really working with Merrill Kelly and him saying, "You know what? That's fine. I'll take it." Which would be, he'd be giving up on millions of dollars a year, which would be crazy. The only way that that's not like extremely bold and heroic of him is if he wouldn't be signed anywhere else for more. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's got offers coming his way, because a lot of teams need pitching this season, and he is a reliable arm, older but reliable and very good. So now we're going to talk about Merrill Kelly versus Pete Fairbanks. If we had to pick between the two, which we likely will, which of the two should we go with? So we're going to talk about that right after the short break. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. And that's why the Game Time app is clutch. Finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. And we're back, and I want to say, as always, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen of the day. Thank you as well for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. So yesterday, we're all excited about Pete Fairbanks. As soon as I posted the episode, by the way, I saw that Emilio Pagan had been re-signed by the Reds, and I was like, dang, I just talked a lot about him and how we should sign him. But and it had happened a good deal before I recorded it as well, but it was after I did all my research for the episode. So Emilio Pagan is definitely not on, but we were talking about Pete Fairbanks. We were also talking about Kyle Finnegan, who I think would be a good grab as a good get as well. But Spotrac says Pete Fairbanks is worth $15 million. The Athletic says $14 million a year. Fangraph says $8 million a year. So it's probably around that. Yeah, 8 to 15. I mean, it could be anywhere in there. With the way pitchers are signing right now, it's going to probably be on the higher end. Emilio Pagan, though, it was estimated that he would sign for $12 million a year, and he ended up signing a deal for $10 million a year. So that is which is with the same team. So I wonder if that had something to do with that. But yeah, 2-year deal for $20 million. So maybe that kind of is bringing the bar back down just a little bit. There have been a few signings that are kind of feel a bit more on the realistic level. So that's promising. So that's hopeful there. That we could probably sign somebody for just, a little bit more of a reasonable price. Kyle Finnegan is estimated at $10 million. So following that logic, he may be signable for closer to $7 or $8 million, especially if it's more than a 1-year deal. But Pete Fairbanks, yeah, again, we're looking at 8 to 15 million. Now, Pete Fairbanks, as opposed to Merrill Kelly, he's much younger. And so we could more reliably sign him to a longer deal and hold on to him for a longer time. His ERA is considerably lower. It's 2.83 as opposed to Merrill Kelly's. Now I know this might make people upset. I'm just going to count Merrill Kelly's Arizona stats here because it was the majority of the year, and he kind of did not do very well in Texas. So I'm going to give the Arizona numbers. He had a 3.22 ERA. So 3.22 ERA as opposed to Fairbanks' 2.83 ERA. And Fairbanks has a whip of 1.044. Merrill Kelly has a whip of 1.114. So slightly higher. Actually, that's the season overall. Let's look at the one I just said. 1.057. So very comparable. Pete Pete Fairbanks has a strikeout per 9 of 8.8 and a walk per 9 of 2.7. Merrill Kelly had in Arizona an 8.5 strikeout per 9 and 2.7 walks per 9. So again, very, very comparable actually to each other in their strikeout ability, their ability to keep runners off base, but Fairbanks does have the lower ERA. Now, the thing to really keep in mind, this is the big question. This is the big question you have to ask yourself, and that the Diamondbacks are probably asking themselves: do we want which one do we want more, a starting pitcher or a closer? And this is a question I actually have for you because I'm curious to see what you think. Would you rather see a reliable, good arm in our rotation, which his numbers in Arizona are better than Ryan Nelson's numbers last year, which means Ryan Nelson is our best pitcher right now, but over the season, Merrill Kelly was our best pitcher. So we would have Merrill Kelly as our number one, Ryan Nelson, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt. We'd only need one more starting pitcher, and we'd be good. But we would still need to. I mean, our bullpen would still be in the exact same place. So, do we sign a closer? And we still need our starting pitchers. We still need our two starting pitchers, but now we have a killer closer that can seal the deal on close scoring games, which the Diamondbacks find themselves in very often. So, which is it? And also, the closer will play in, what did he play in last season? Fairbanks in 2025 played in 61 games. Merrill Kelly in the 2025 season pitched in 32 games. So nearly double the amount of games that Merrill Kelly pitched in. But the thing that I'm looking at probably, and I don't know if this is like good analytics reading or not. I'm not a statistician. I'm not an expert money baller kind of guy, but Pete Fairbanks has a WAR, a wins above replacement of 1.2, and Merrill Kelly has a win above replacement of 3.0 in Arizona. So is therefore responsible for more wins on the season than Pete Fairbanks was. And Merrill Kelly also pitched 148 innings, where Pete Fairbanks only pitched 60.1 innings. So it's kind of like this: more games or more innings. And I don't think I have an answer right now, actually, of which I would prefer. I think that getting Merrill Kelly back is a huge help, a huge win. You know what? I think I'd probably prefer Merrill Kelly because a closer can only win the game if the starter does their job. If we don't have any good starters, then it doesn't matter what our bullpen is. They can't save a game if there's nothing to save, right? So I guess it would be that. Both would be nice. Both would be good. Which I guess if we got a good enough deal, like if we were able to sign Fairbanks for like $10 million a year and then Kelly for $8 million a year, then that's $18 million. We would still have 10 to 20 million that we could spend roughly. And that still lets us get Goldschmidt, but then that would probably be it as far as high, signings over $1 million or $2 million a year. From there, we're probably getting more, not bottom of the barrel, but you know what I mean. Mid. That's not very nice. My wife said that. I didn't say that. I just repeated her. Anyway. So anyway, that's probably where I would go. I would probably say, let's start with Merrill Kelly. Let's see what we can get for him. I think that would be better for the fan base. That would be better for the clubhouse. That would be a good thing to see. And it would give us a much better shot at filling our rotation because we'd only need one more pitcher. We'd trade for one more pitcher because we probably wouldn't be able to sign another starting pitcher. And then we have our rotation, and that tees up the return of Corbin Burnes and everybody else halfway through the season. If we can do well up to that point, then we got ourselves a good season. So anyway, you guys, we're going to take another short break, and then we're going to get to the best part of the whole show, which is hearing from you guys. So, because you guys have a lot of cool questions and a lot of cool comments, so we're going to get to that. So, right after the, but we're going to do that right after this break. So stay right there, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines adjusting instantly, player props updating as guys heat up, and you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. These ad reads make me want to learn how to do that EA Sports impression. that would be a pretty epic moment in my life. But whenever I see somebody doing whenever I see somebody doing the EA Sports impression, oftentimes they'll be doing it with the actual guy, and he just blows them away every single time. It's actually really embarrassing. So maybe I'll spare myself the embarrassment. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it with a first question from my wonderful wife who's sitting right next to me playing Minecraft. Hey.
I'm in the nether.
Hey, how's it going?
That's a poor choice.
What did you say?
I said I'm in the nether.
You're in the nether? Oh, snap. You guys play Minecraft? Any of you guys play Minecraft, or is it just my wife? Anyway, so Jory, come on up here. Come on up here. What is your knowledge of the Diamondbacks in general?
Minimal.
Minimal?
Well, I feel like I know some things just because you are constantly talking about it
Talkative.
everywhere
What?
and around me.
What?
I'm not always actively engaged or listening.
You don't always listen to me when I talk about the Diamondbacks? I literally, it's a problem, you guys.
So often.
It's a problem, you guys.
So often.
Anyway, what's a burning question that you have about the Diamondbacks?
What are our chances for next year? Do we even potentially place in the runnings?
Or do we even have a shot?
A shot, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a question that a lot of people have been asking themselves in the fan base, because the Diamondbacks got really close to making the postseason in 2023, and they did.
Yeah.
They barely made it in, and they went to the World Series. Then the next year, they were in the exact same place. They almost made it, but then were one game out and didn't make it. So big disappointment. Then this season, we signed the Cy Young winner of the year, the best pitcher in all baseball. We signed him to the team. Yeah, the best pitcher in baseball. Yeah, the best pitcher. The best.
I'm sure that means
the best boy. We signed the best boy, and so it was like, oh man, the Diamondbacks have the best pitching in all of baseball. They have all these great pitchers with Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and now Corbin Burns. And then they have all these great bullpen arms. It's going to be awesome. And then immediately they all got injured. And if they didn't get injured, they stunk. Zach Gallen had a terrible first half. So it was the Diamondbacks were crazy hyped up, and then they just they crashed and burned. And then when all kind of seemed lost, it was okay, well, here comes the trade deadline, and the trade deadline is when teams will either buy up players to compete, or they'll sell players for building for next year and the years to come. And the Diamondbacks did the latter. They sold all their best players, and got a bunch of prospects, got a bunch of young players, and that was kind of the white flag. Okay, we're done. We're not competing. We're not going to make it. and then they did really well, and they almost made it. Like they ended up in the exact same position that they did last year. They were a game out from the wild card with like 1 week left, and
I remember that. That was stressful.
That was stressful, and that was when I took over the podcast.
That's
so
why it was
you
stressful.
definitely remember that. And they missed it by 3 games. It was the last series of the season, and they lost and didn't make it. So a lot of people are kind of disheartened because 3 years in a row we were right there, and 2 of those 3 years we missed it. This year, I think it's going to be similar. I think if we make it, it would be very close. I think if we don't make it, it'll be very close. So that's probably not good for our mental health. But especially me. But I think that if the Diamondbacks can play their cards right, they always play better when they're the underdogs. If nobody's expecting from them or they're expecting them to be bad, the Diamondbacks always do better than people expect, it seems. And so this year is kind of set up that way, but really if it depends on what happens this offseason. So if we can sign the right people, if we can trade for the right people, then we'll have we just need to get that first half of the season like passable. Like we need to be average for the first half of the season. And if we can do that, then all of our injured players are going to be coming back. They may be great. They may kind of have an adjustment period, but either way, we will be stronger at that point and then can hopefully ride that into the postseason. But that's asking a lot. So I don't know. It's a good question. We have to follow it. We have to see how this goes.
There's still a lot up in the air because there's still a lot that can happen, not only to our team, but to other teams too.
Oh yeah. Tons of things that could happen. So anyway, yeah.
All right.
Good question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for volunteering to be on the show for a minute.
I don't know that I did that. Goodbye.
Anyway, let's get to some other comments real quick. We had MP5 who talks about how much he likes Brandon Pfaadt because what did he say? He's out of Bellarmine, which he spent a lot of time to back in the day. I hope I pronounced that right, but you guys know that's not something I do very often. He says, buying good players is one thing. Homegrown is another. Much cooler to have the dude that's been grinding in the minors, working his way up, coming out and kick butt like that. So cool. I know. We got so many prospects right now that show a lot of potential. And obviously, most prospects we know don't work out. But we got a lot of good guys coming up here pretty soon. So again, if 2026 is not our season, 2027 or 2028 are going to be good. So I'm fairly confident. Another cool comment that we got. Oh no, I already talked about that comment. Whew, that was close. I almost doubled up on a comment. That'd be embarrassing. Let's look at another one that I did not get. Let's see. Oh, another one from MP5 here. He says, I think the only Marte trade I'd be happy with would be a Marte Skeens trade for Paul Skeens to the Pirates. They desperately need offense, and we desperately need pitching. Would actually make a ton of sense for both teams. I'm still really hoping they don't go the quantity over quality route, trading for / acquiring a bunch of nobodies, but might be all we can do. I think that is probably all we can do. I think we can get a handful of quality people. I don't think we can get enough to get everything we need, though, unfortunately. A Marte Skeens trade would be wild. Is it possible? I mean, I guess maybe. I wonder if there have been discussions about that. I feel like we would probably need to send somebody else. I think we would need to send like Marte and Lawler because Skeens is young. Marte is not as young. But Skeens doesn't have as long on his contract, I believe, as Marte does. So I don't know. That could be interesting. What do you think? What do you guys think? Let's see. Arizona Scorpion Snake Spider, also known as Eric, said, That's a fun handle. I'd like Marte to stay, but it makes more sense to trade him so the Diamondbacks have a chance to get above 500 next year. Keep it simple. Marte for Freddie Peralta. I think that would be a pretty good trade. And it's the last few days has been telling that I think it's similar with Marte, with the Brewers and Peralta. Is they're like, we don't want to trade him, but we'll listen. So I don't know that it's necessarily something that everybody's like is gonna happen. I don't even know that it's likely to happen, Peralta or Marte, but that probably would be a fairly good trade-off, to be honest. So yeah, good idea, Eric. And then finally, let's go ahead and address some Blue Jays comments, because we have a handful of comments, including this one by Richard, who says, a temporary blip in spending because so much is coming off the books in the next few years. I wonder if they will move Barrios, which I think is a big mistake, and Santander's contract this offseason. That would make signing Bo and Tucker possible, which I didn't really think about that. And this is, and there are a few others as well that talked about that. Simple explanation: Jays have aging key players hitting free agency next year. They need to effectively replace that. Totals around $100 million coming off the books. They got a $50 million World Series bonus they are putting right back into the team, and will most likely have a $50 to $60 million budget, which is, that's awesome for them. Tucker is the best outfield free agent for the season and next. Jays are eyeing him to replace Springer, not Bo. It's not an either or situation. That $50 million from the World Series will cover the overlapping one-year expense to Springer's free agency. Gausman and Bieber are UFAs next year. Barrios is looking for a solid year and could potentially opt out, making it 3 inning eaters, Jays, that they would have to effectively replace. They already landed Cease, who has been at worst durable and reliable. I think the Jays could possibly add another starter this offseason to address Barrios sooner than later. So they will only, this is a really long comment, but this is from Richard, a different Richard. Whoa, 2 Richards. Is Richard a common name in Canada? Richard Dean. All right. Well, cool. Thank you, Richards. Just noticed that. The Jays will weigh pros and cons between signing Bo and trading for his potential replacement. Arizona's Marte is a name the Jays have been linked to. I'm totally like, yeah, actually, that's a wonderful analysis of that. He says the Jays might also be entertaining a trade for Cole Ragans. They don't have a lefty in the rotation, and Cole is cheap at $13 million. If they do, they will cheap at $13 million. I know. Yeah, I know. That's cheap for you guys. They will not have the prospect capital to make another significant trade. So in this scenario, I think Jays look to re-sign Bo and will need to sign Tucker to replace the loss of Barger in right field, as he would be headlining the trade. And then some more stuff. And then somebody responded that no to 32-year-old Marte as a Jays fan. It's funny how a lot of people seem to think that, but that's fine. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been the show. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy hearing from all of you. It's definitely the best part of this whole podcast situation. I will be going out of town this weekend, so the next 2 episodes, Monday and Tuesday's episodes, might be just me in a hotel, but the show goes on, right? So be sure to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Locked On Diamondbacks. We're on YouTube, as well as every other place you get your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, you can find more on my YouTube channel and channels and projects at my website, slackshack.tv. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the Locked On MLB podcast, where there is no offseason. Solely keeps you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed MLB fan. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And just remember, winter meetings are coming up. They will start before we see each other again. So keep your eye on the news. Anyway, thanks again, and I will see you on Monday.